Good evening. I'm going to call to order this meeting of the Wendell Town Board of Commissioners and welcome all of you. We're happy to have you all here tonight with us. We're going to be led in the Pledge of Allegiance by Police Chief Bill Carter.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Chief. For our invocation tonight from the Wendell First Baptist Church, we're going to be here from Reverend Dr. Tony Baldwin and Trustee Antonio Carr.
Good evening to everyone. Hello, sir. Y'all sound like a congregation
Good evening.
that's a little short of some things. Good evening.
Good evening. Nice suit, man.
Somebody had to wear it. Thank you. I'm here for the invocation.
Yes, sir.
I'm the new pastor in town, by the way. In case y'all haven't stopped by Wendell First Baptist Church. Amen? I ain't get that right either. Yeah, let me try that. Let us pray so we can move on with this one here. Father God, in the precious name of Jesus the Christ, first giving you all glory and praise and honor. It's with thanksgiving that we thank you for this afternoon. We thank you for awakening us and allowing us to see yet another day under your sun. I ask you now, Lord, as we come together here this evening to perform the work here of Wendell with the commissioners, that you give them guidance and direction, lead them in all of their thoughts and actions. In the use of this town, Lord, we ask that you guide their purpose. Lead them in a way that will be responsible not just for themselves, but for this entire community. I ask that you look upon each and every one of them, be a lamp unto their pathway and a light unto their feet, that they may see the way in which you will direct them and not the way they would want to go. Help them, Lord, that they be led with integrity, unify this body, and continue to enable them to do your perfect will. And for this, now we give you all glory, we give you all praise, and we give you all honor. For it is in Jesus Christ's name that I pray. And the people of God said, amen. Amen, amen again. Amen. Y'all better say amen one day.
Thank you for being with us. It's nice to see you again.
Same to you, ma'am.
All right, are there any adjustments of the agenda? You have a motion to approve?
So moved.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, public comment period is our next section. The public can participate in public comment by signing up the night of the meeting right by the front door, or you can submit written statements via email to the town clerk on the Friday before the meeting on Monday. Each of those you get to, the first one you can speak for 3 minutes. The second one, it will be read into the record for the length of 3 minutes. We have 2 people signed up tonight. The first is Teresa Tamboris. Okay, you can come up to the podium. Can somebody help her with the microphone?
Bring it down.
Yeah.
3 minutes. That's good. That's fine. That's fine. Oh, really? I'll be done before we get all this figured out.
That's okay. We're happy to use our new equipment, and that's why we have it.
Got to test it.
That's right.
Oh, boy.
Perfect.
That's karaoke.
We want to hear you.
Okay, well, I'm here to talk a little bit about handicap parking in the town of Wendell. And I do appreciate, let me start by saying, the new sidewalks around the gazebo there, it's fantastic. And all the movements that you guys have been doing to make things better. It's comforting to me. I've spent my entire life savings almost on my home just to live here in Wendell. and I want to be included, I want to be active, you know. I see half of you out. I like to go out, so I need to be able to park. So the issue is, I know that there is handicap parking, but whenever they have an event, they use those parking spaces, like the two by Bearded Bee, they're almost always closed off, either because the Main Street is closed, or they've got tents on those areas, different things, for the bigger events. And the main reason that I'm bringing this to your attention is because we have a chance to correct it by the Fall Festival. Because I remember the first time I came down here, a friend was going to come and meet me, and he left because he couldn't find a parking spot. And the last time I was here, I had to park 2 or 3 streets down, which that's okay, but I drive a van with a ramp, so it has to drop out on the street, which means I have to park in the opposite direction, which I don't think is really legal. But more importantly, when my ramp drops out, I'm at the mercy of whoever's coming by, coming and going. So all I'm asking is the very few handicap parking spots that there are being used for other things. So if you're, whatever spaces you cover, I think you should make them available somewhere else. And one of the last big events, the Meet on Main Street, they had the whole, over there by Deja Vu and the hemp shop or whatever, that was all closed off for golf cart parking. That was pretty insulting.
Okay.
So I'm just asking that at minimal, you replace whatever gets covered for events, because these big ones are when it happens. And even the new one that I appreciate so much by Wendell Eye Care, it gets cut off for the parades and different things, so.
Thank you for bringing that to our attention.
And it is part of the mission statement
It
that
is.
to provide everybody a quality of life. So
I-
I'm here. I want to be a big part of this town. I came from a town in Illinois just like this, so I know what I'm in for, but I'm just asking for fairness.
We're happy to have you here from Illinois.
Thank you.
Thanks.
If there's anything I can do to help on that, I'm happy to help.
Regina Harmon.
Good evening, Regina Harmon, 6616 Tails Branch Road. Just real quick, I've known her for years, and it's kind of hard to get in and out of the general store, so we actually went out and purchased something so she could get in and out of the general store and others could, and I made her aware of that not too long ago, so we hope to see more of her there as well. Back at the end of last year, property 11021 Pool Road, the house beside Central Baptist Church, they asked to be annexed into the city limits around November of 2022. And at the time, Pool Road address was owned by a group of 3 people prior to the board saying yes to the annexation of this property into the city limits. The Pool Road address was tapping into the church office, receiving free city of water, but was not in the city limits at the time. After the board voted yes, one of the commissioners, Mr. Lutz, I always pronounce his name wrong, I apologize, asked one of our town planners, Brian, how do we go about fixing this? And Brian stated something to the effect of they would have to ask for a permit. But the church was gifted or purchased the property at the Pool Road address around December of 2022. Even though the Pool Road address is now part of the church land 8 months later, and since the Pool Road address was tapping into the church office for free water before it was annexed into the city limits, and before it was sold or gifted to the church, I would like to know, does the church still have to get a permit to run a new water line or meter by the city of Raleigh? We've seen no evidence out there in the last 8 months that any work has been done. If it has been done, that's great, and thank you. And if not, who is the responsible party to follow up on this issue for the town of Wendell? Thank you very much.
Thank you. That's all we have signed up for tonight. Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
And now we're going to move into our recognitions, reports, and presentations. And the first is A proclamation recognizing September 19th, 2023 as Informational Technology Professional Days in the town of Wendell. Okay. Yeah, I like to bring everybody up to the front so we can embarrass them sufficiently. Okay. Whereas National Information Technology Professionals Day is celebrated on the third Tuesday of every September in recognition and appreciation for IT professionals who take care of the critical technology infrastructure that is relied on to power our digital experience. And whereas IT professionals play a critical role in managing and maintaining the essential systems and applications that allow the town to serve its residents with excellent services. And whereas the town of Wendell IT services include cybersecurity, system security, ongoing maintenance of the town's telecommunications and computer systems, overseeing managed service providers and third-party contractors, serving as the liaison for the town's endeavors with the county, state, and federal agencies in all manners of technology. And whereas the town of Wendell has been improved by the results of the dedicated efforts of our IT professional as he has increased efficiency, protected town assets, and improved the safety of our residents and employees. Now, therefore, on behalf of the Wendell Town Board of Commissioners, I, Virginia Gray, Mayor of the town of Wendell, do hereby designate September 19th, 2023 as National Information Technology Professionals Day in the town of Wendell, and further extend appreciation to our IT professional, Gregory Kipiego, and to all IT professionals for the vital services they perform and their exemplary dedication to the communities they represent. Duly proclaimed this the 11th day of September, 2023. And it's signed by me. We just wanted to have you here and recognize you for everything that you've done for us. We've gone up 15 notches. It's indescribable, and we can't thank you enough for it, Gregory, really.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate the recognition.
Well, we've enjoyed having you here.
Thank you.
Did y'all want me to give this to him? Okay. Item 4B is a proclamation recognizing September 26th as Human Resources Professionals Day in the town of Wendell. Come on up here, Miss Debbie. Is this it? That's National Falls. Okay. So we also have a proclamation for you proclaiming September 26, 2023 as Human Resources Professionals Day in the town of Wendell. Excuse me. Whereas Human Resources Professionals Day is celebrated on the 26th of every September in recognition and appreciation for HR professionals for the important work they do to support all town employees. And whereas HR professionals help employees adapt to an ever-changing and competitive environment while responding to workplace needs and economic challenges. And whereas these professionals enable a positive organizational development and serve as strategic partners to meet public service goals by recruiting and retaining qualified, diverse candidates for employment, recognizing employee achievements, projecting trends in the market and providing workforce planning, developing equitable compensation and benefit structures, and preserving the integrity of the organization by ensuring compliance with state and federal laws. And whereas HR professionals aren't often given the credit for their work, but Human Resources Professionals Day aims to honor and give credit to human resource professionals and encourages people to learn more about human resource jobs and their importance in companies. Importance to companies. Whereas HR Professionals Day is an opportunity to show appreciation for human resources professionals and the valuable work they do every day. Now therefore, on behalf of the Wendell Town Board of Commissioners, I, Virginia Gray, Mayor of the Town of Wendell, do hereby designate September 26, 2023 as Human Resources Professional Day in the Town of Wendell, and further extend appreciation to our HR professional, Debbie Kennedy, and to all HR professionals for the vital services they perform and their exemplary dedication to the communities they represent. Duly proclaim this the 11th day of September, 2023, and it's signed by me.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Commissioners. Thank you, Manager Collins. Thank you, staff, directors, all of you. Thank you, everyone. It's my pleasure to serve Wendell, and I will continue to do the best job ever.
We're just so happy to have you here.
I'm happy to be
You're a
here.
bright light in our town hall, so thank you
Thank
for
you.
that. And you keep us out of trouble.
Thank
There's
you.
that too.
Thank you.
Okay, we have one more. Item 4C is a proclamation recognizing September 18th through 22nd, 2023 as National Falls Prevention Awareness Week. You ladies come on up, that's perfect. Okay. We love having you here.
Thank you.
As National Falls Prevention Awareness Week, and September 19th, 2023 as Falls Prevention Awareness Day. Whereas it is estimated that 1/4 of Americans aged 65 and older fall each year, and whereas every second of every day an older adult, 65 plus, falls in the United States, and whereas falls result in more than 3 million injuries treated in emergency departments annually, including over 800,000 hospitalizations and more than 32,000 deaths. And whereas falls result in more than 3 million injuries treated in emergency departments annually, including over 800,000 hospitalizations and more than 32, I think that paragraph's in there twice. Whereas each year about $50 billion is spent on medical costs related to non-fatal fall injuries, and $754 million is spent related to fatal falls. My goodness. Whereas the state of North Carolina ranks number 27 in the number of falls for those 65 and older, and whereas falls are the leading cause of fatal and non-fatal injuries among older adults, and whereas older adults who fall once are 2 to 3 times more likely to fall again, whereas each year 3 million older people are treated in emergency departments for fall injuries, and whereas each year at least 300,000 older people are hospitalized for hip fractures, and whereas a growing number of older adults fear falling and as a result often self-limit activities and social engagements, and whereas injuries from falls are largely preventable community health problems, and whereas evidence-based programs show promise in reducing falls and facilitating cost-effective interventions such as comprehensive clinical assessments, exercise programs to improve balance and health, medication management, vision correctness, and the reduction of home hazards. Now, therefore, I, Virginia Gray, on behalf, Mayor of the Town of Wendell, do hereby proclaim the week of September 18th, 2023 as Falls Prevention Awareness Week, and September 19th, 2023 as Fall Prevention Awareness Day in the Town of Wendell. And I urge all citizens to promote multidisciplinary strategies, as mentioned from campaign above, from awareness to action to prevent falls, and encourage our residents to take steps to protect those who are at risk from falling. Duly proclaimed this the 11th day of September 2023, and it's signed by me. Thank you, ladies, for being here and bringing this to our attention and my attention. I remember learning about this from you, Jeannie, at one time, and I was not aware.
Well, thank you so much. You can tell that as we get older, there are a lot of more whereases.
Yeah, there were a lot of whereases.
With that said, I'd like to invite everyone, the whole program will be done with the National Falls Prevention Association in a hybrid version this year. So we'll be doing it unfortunately, it's not in our Wendell location because of space, but we have a film production and coordinator. There'll be 6 different steps to decrease fall prevention. We invite you, and please get your family members because the multidisciplinary approach has got to be intergenerational. And I would love for any of you to come participate.
And it'll
thank
be in Wake Forest.
Well, you can come to it physically in
Okay.
Wake Forest, but we've got the link to issue to the world if you want to be a part
Do
of
it
it on
online.
the 19th. Yeah.
Okay, that's great.
Okay,
All
thank
right.
you.
Do you want to get a picture real quick?
You, ladies?
All right, we'll move into our public hearings now, and the first, item 5A, is an oh, nope, never mind, 4D, I'm ready for that public hearing. 4D is a fiscal year annual solid waste report.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and Board of
Good
Commissioners.
evening.
Happy to be here tonight to present a report on our annual solid waste submission. And I'll speak to the summary in the next slide here. Make sure I'm going the right way. The Town of Wendell submits a yearly solid waste report to the North Carolina Department of Environmental Quality. This report covers trash, recycling, and yard waste tonnage. And in the next slide, you'll see a 5-year timeline. FY23 is our current one. You'll see that we had 3,723 tons of trash. Recycling was at 503, and yard waste tonnage was at 721 tons. And you'll see going back through FY19. And a couple things of note, in early 2020, the latter part of the fiscal year 2020, the shutdown began. And you can see trash really spiked compared to FY19. You'll see it jump from 2667 to 5705. Likely folks at home instead of work and lots of trash generated. You also see yard waste spiked. And so that was likely a safe way for folks to be able to get outside and get some air and also be able to clean up the yards, things that they could do safely. And then as things open back up, you'll see it kind of went back down a little bit. And one of the good things, I think, is when you look at trash from FY19 through FY23, you'll see that we actually went down a little bit. And that's even after adding all the residences that we'll talk about in the next slide here. We've also added downtown trash, commingled recycling, and cardboard recycling at 2 locations during this period and gained approximately 1,685 households. So we gained a lot, but our trash is staying pretty steady, which is good. Wendell receives a recycling refund twice yearly, which can offset the need for solid waste fees or increases, and what can increase or decrease our refund and our expenses. A few of those things, when trash is placed in recycling containers, it actually turns the entire bin into trash. There is no ability from our provider for the recycling to be sorted, and periodic samples are taken by the provider. If they show trash in the recycling, then we actually have to pay to dispose of that recycling as trash, and we certainly don't get a refund with that. How can we help? The Public Works Department is going to be having 2 interactive educational opportunities at our Campen Street downtown business drop-off locations. We currently there have commingled recycling, cardboard recycling, and trash at this location. Whereas at our residences, we just have the recycling, which is commingled, we have yard waste, and then we have trash. During this event, we'll be asking for business participation while also welcoming any citizens who would like to learn more about recycling and trash disposal. We believe this will help our recycling program, both on the residential and the commercial side. And this is similar to an initiative that Wake County put off at their convenience centers recently. So with that, it covers what the town residents and the business owners can do, but we wanted to talk tonight about what can the town manager specifically do? How can he help? And so we're just gonna have kind of a little quick and fun, is it recycling or
Yeah.
is it trash? You know, little scenario here.
Pressure's on.
Yeah, the pressure is on. He came prepared. All right. So, we have styrofoam. Is that trash or is it recycling?
Yes, it's trash.
Trash. Very good.
It bails me out.
We have styrofoam. Clean.
That is recyclable.
It is trash.
You can't recycle styrofoam?
It's not, no longer recyclable, or not considered a recyclable.
See, I thought the first one.
Pizza boxes. Okay. This one here.
That pizza,
Yeah.
that cheese. There's cheese all over it.
It should look exactly like pizza cheese. Yeah, so-
That's recyclable. It's gotta be. Let me see what Magic 8 Ball says. That would look good.
So your answer is?
It's recyclable?
It is trash.
Lord, how can that not be?
It's trash. It's the foodstuffs and the oils. It's contaminated. That is correct.
So put that in your trash, not your recyclable.
The next one.
Without a doubt, recyclable.
Recycling.
75% right.
That's not bad.
Figure out why somebody has a pizza box that's untouched.
Napkins.
Napkins.
They're clean-ish.
Cannot predict now. Jeff, what's the answer?
Trash.
You must have the inside track down there.
Water bottle. Normal water bottle.
Should be a
Reply
softball.
fuzzy, try again.
It's gotta be recycling.
Recyclable.
That is correct.
Okay. Doubting myself.
Common fast food cup. Clear.
Clear fuzzy. Signs point to yes, recyclable.
Recyclable? Yes.
Was?
That's correct.
What if it had sticky drink inside of it? Like,
Sticky drink, you need to look at the amount
Okay.
as far as that goes. Residue is the most that it could be. It really should be rinsed. Take the moment to rinse it. Okay. Paper towels.
My sources say no.
No to recycling or no to trash?
Recycling, so trash.
That is correct.
So wait,
more trash
napkins?
than recycling.
Napkins,
Different
paper
than
towels.
paper towels.
Well, the napkins and the paper towels are both trash.
They're both trash.
Both go to trash, yes. This might be a popular one here. The plastic bags.
Trash.
Grocery store.
Yeah.
You may rely on,
Do that.
those have to be recycling according to Magic 8 Ball.
Well, if you only have trash and recycling, these are trash. Wake County does not want these to go into like the Sunoco Center, but a lot of stores have plastic bag recycling. You can take it there, and then it goes in specifically for plastic bag recycling, and that's okay, and it doesn't gum up the facility.
Don't put those in the town can, take them back.
That is
to the
correct.
store.
Take them to the store. Yep. That is everything that I had to, unless we pick random items, you know. So, very good.
What was the score on that?
You do need to hear.
I think he missed one solid miss. Yeah, one solid miss.
Had a lifeline. I don't know
Yeah,
about
yeah,
that.
lifeline.
Eight-ball.
About aluminum cans, even if they're dirty?
Aluminum cans, again, the little bit of residue from a can that's been emptied, that's okay. But ideally, if we're at home, if we can rinse it, that is perfect. And it also keeps down, pests and things like that from going in the recycling.
So you can't just rely on the little symbol.
No, unfortunately, no. It's not always accurate when you're looking at your specific location. Recycling is available, but like with the plastic bags, they want them to go to the stores to where it can come in a bale, basically. Yeah. Any other questions?
No, thank you.
All right, thank you all.
I think my husband may have contributed to that 3 tons during 2020. Yard. He was driven in the yard. All right, now we'll move into our public hearings. Item 5A is an evidentiary hearing on special use permit request by Adam Price of Tappet Social House LLC to allow meeting facility, indoor event venue, recreation facilities, indoor bar, tavern, nightclub at 42 North Main Street. PIN number 1784700311. Ms. Griffin. Forgot about swearing everybody in. Thank you.
Do you swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
If there's anyone else in here that's going to want to speak, they need to be sworn as well. Ms. Harmon, okay, she needs to be sworn as well.
I do.
Okay, thank you. All right, Mr. Cawley, can you give us the rules for evidentiary hearing again?
Yes, Mayor. As you know, this is an evidentiary or quasi judicial process, which is distinguished from a traditional or garden variety legislative process, which are the next items on your agenda, in that you don't have discretion with these matters. The board sits like judges and hears the evidence and decides whether that evidence meets the requirements in the ordinance or not. And if it does, then you apply the evidence to those requirements to decide whether to issue or not issue the permit. Witnesses are sworn, as we've seen, and evidence is required to be relevant, substantial, and competent.
All right, thank you. All right, we'll open the hearing and hear from staff.
Good evening. Again, this is for 42 North Main Street for a special use permit for a meeting facility indoor, event venue, a recreation facility indoor, and bar, tavern, nightclub. Adam Price, who is here as well, of Tappet Social House, has requested a special use permit for the uses that I just went over at 42 North Main Street. The subject property is zone DMX, downtown mixed use, and all of these uses require a special use permit in the DMX. There you see the definition of each of the items that they have asked for. Meeting facility, indoor event venue means an indoor commercial or nonprofit facility for event venues or public assembly, and gives you some examples. Recreation facilities indoor means uses or structures for active recreation, and gives you some examples as well. This definition is inclusive of both nonprofit and for-profit operations. Bar, tavern, nightclub is a business where alcoholic beverages are sold for on-site consumption, which are not part of a local larger restaurant. These may also include beer brewing, microbrewing, things of that nature. The application states that this building will be used for a family entertainment facility, including 7 duck pin bowling lanes, a full arcade with ticket redemption, and the sale of various types of alcoholic and non-alcoholic drinks. The applicant has included meeting facility and indoor event venue, as they have expressed a desire to hold birthday parties and other events in the facility. We'll add that in the DMX, bar, tavern, nightclub does require a special use permit as not part of a larger restaurant. And we do not have a classification for someone who is wanting to serve beer outside of the restaurant use. We would classify as staff the use of the building to be, the main use to be amusements indoor, which is permitted with additional standards in DMX. Those are no outdoor public address system shall be permitted which can be heard beyond the borders of the property. All noise shall comply with the town's noise ordinance, and windows and doors shall not have tinting which exceeds the limitations set forth in GS 20-127. The applicant has been advised of these additional standards. The following additional standard is applicable to meeting facility, indoor event venue. Meeting facilities are permitted as part of a common plan of development, but shall not be permitted as infill development. The meeting facility event venue use is an auxiliary use as described in this application, and the applicant has expressed a desire again to have things like birthday parties or possibly rent out the space for corporate events or private events. The following additional standard applies to recreation facilities indoor, which they are permitted as part of a common plan of development, but not as infill development. Again, this is an existing building, and there's no expansion of the footprint planned, so the standard does not apply. Additional standard for bar, tavern, nightclub. No such facility shall be located within 300 feet of the property line of any lot containing a church or a school or any residential district. The subject property is adjacent to East Wake Education Foundation, which is a community-based nonprofit that serves as an advocacy group for area schools and works to ensure that school-aged children arrive healthy and ready to learn. It is not classified as a school. Wendell Methodist Church is about 400 feet away and is the closest residentially zoned property is over 500 feet away. The proposed development is in a predominantly restaurant and service-oriented part of Main Street. The building most recently occupied as a furniture store is adjacent to Aubrey and Petey's Grill and is in the same block with a retail cabinet shop. Across the street is a dog groomer, a coffee shop, and an event venue. You have before you the special use permit criteria. The proposed use does not adversely affect the plans for the physical development of the town. The proposed use will not be contrary to the purposes stated in the regulations. The proposed use will not adversely affect the health and safety of residents or workers. The proposed use will not be detrimental to the use of the development of adjacent properties. The proposed use will not be affected adversely by existing uses. The proposed use will be placed on a lot of sufficient size. The proposed use will not constitute a nuisance. The standards set forth for each particular use or project have been met, all the standards. The board may impose or require such additional restrictions and conditions as you deem necessary to protect the health and safety of workers and residents in the community. The proposed use shall be subject to the minimum area, setback, and other location requirements of the zoning district. And the proposed use shall be subject to the off-street parking and service requirements of the regulations of the UDO. The DMX zoning district does allow for meeting facilities indoor, event venue, recreation facilities indoor, and bar, tavern, nightclub as a special use permit. Like most downtown businesses, the business will utilize public parking lots and on-street parking in the downtown. There are 2 municipal parking lots within about 2 blocks in either direction of the proposed use. The building is already connected to city water and sewer. Blueprint Wendell 2030 classifies this area as downtown core. The downtown core place type lists commercial uses such as retail and restaurants and event spaces as appropriate uses for this area. The applicant did hold a neighborhood meeting as required on August 25th with 2 people in attendance, and those meeting minutes were in your packet. The Town of Wendell staff does present an analysis in SUP cases but does not make a recommendation. There you see when the hearing was advertised and publicized by placing a sign on the property. If you do decide to make a motion to grant the special use permit, we would ask that you add a condition that all applicable building permits, laws, and codes are obtained or maintained. I am happy to answer any questions. The applicant is here and has a presentation for you as well.
Okay, any questions from the board?
One, Madam Mayor.
Okay.
Stacy, that's a significant use change from what that building has previously been used for. Is there anticipation of, I know you asked us to keep all applicable building laws, permits, that the new use would require structural changes inside, addition of bathrooms, that type of thing?
Adam's going to talk about that a little bit, I think, as he goes through it, because they have done an evaluation of the site.
All right, any other questions from the board? Okay. The applicant.
Good evening. So my name is Adam Price. I would like to give you a quick intro. I know that I haven't seen you guys or met a lot of you guys. Hopefully I get a chance to meet you, but I want you to get a little bit about who I am, so maybe it helps you understand the why of what we're doing. So just real quick, 13 years combat veteran in the United States Army, have my master's in education. I've taught in Johnston and Wake County schools at elementary and collegiate levels. The past 9 years, I've helped my brother start one of the fastest growing companies in the Triangle, and I'm really excited about this next phase of my life. So I think it's important for me to kind of lead with the why of why tap it versus the what, and I'll get to the what, but I think it's important for you guys to hear the why first. So first off, one of the biggest blessings of my life is I have a 3-year-old and 6-year-old daughter. But what me and my wife quickly realized when we had kids was it's really difficult to find places that meet the needs of both parents and kids. Either we sacrifice and we go to a bounce house 40 minutes away in Raleigh, my wife and I sit bored waiting for the time to run out, or we take them to a brewery or restaurant and we try to have fun while they're bored. So either way, there's a compromise here. So it led us on this journey about 2 years ago of how do we merge the two, which led us to the idea of Tap It Social House. So the goal with Tap It, and one of our whys, is we want to combine both of those experiences. So we want parents to have fun, we want kids to have fun together, because we know if that environment exists, then everybody's having a good time. So we really want to blend that environment and be immersive for everybody. The good thing with Tap It, and I'll talk about this in a little bit, is that with what we're going to do, the fun can exist for, I have a 3-year-old, like I said, for a 3-year-old up to an 83-year-old, even older. Next slide. So the next why I'd like to share with you, this is kind of a little bit more personal, but I want to share it to you. So being in business for a while, I realized that one of the most important things for me is being a follower of Christ, that this is a vehicle to help the community and show love to the neighbors. So through Tap It, one of our goals is that we're going to help local ministries and nonprofits through dedicated financial support. That's something we're going to do from the very beginning. We'll provide meeting spaces to members of the community at no cost, and we're going to love our neighbors through how we treat them every single interaction. So if you think about why we're doing this, if you get to the root of why, that to me is the why. Now I'll kind of explain the what so you understand what we're going to be doing. So first off, this is a upscale family entertainment center. So when I say upscale, the goal is we're trying to achieve is not like what you get when you walk into a Chuck E. Cheese. The goal that when you walk into Tap It is that you can tell that there's been significant investment made into the property. Right now, we have a budget that's a little bit over $1 million that we're going to use to actually turn this property into what we need. So we're not just going in there and painting the walls, we're going in there and we're completely rehauling the place to make it work for the community. So customer experience is something that I hold near and dear, true to me. Being in the medical field right now, I understand that no matter how good your business is, if you don't treat people right, they won't come back. And being that we want repeat business, we will be the Chick-fil-A of family entertainment. So 7 state-of-the-art duck pin lanes. We're working with one of the largest manufacturers to get this. I'll explain a little bit what duck pin is on the next slide. But just to kind of let you know where we're at with the investment of this, we could have gone with a cost that was about 50% cheaper than what we went with, but we wanted the best technology, the best software, and the best brand. So that way, the goal is that this becomes an anchor and a long-standing place for the community. So our arcade that we're presenting will have over 30 games. We're also leaning forward with the technology there where people can use a card versus the classic ticketing coins. The great thing about this is that card becomes something that kids can take home with them and come back and save up for that prize that they ultimately want to get. We're going to have a little area carved out where we're going to have 3 miniature golf holes. It's going to be a fun little place where we're going to take kind of the play of the last hole, if you've ever played putt-putt golf, where you hit your ball, if you get a hold 1, you get a prize. If you miss it, game's over. We're going to do something really fun with that. That way, if you come there and you ask what's next, there's always going to be a what's next. If arcade is not what you feel like doing that day, the what's next could be the bowling. If the bowling's not what you feel like that day, the free games could be what's next. If that's not what you feel like doing, the miniature golf is going to be what's next. The goal is we're going to create an environment for people like myself and like my kids that gets nostalgic games in there, but also these new games that kids are drawn to. Our birthday party areas that were mentioned earlier will be designated areas that can hold 12 people per area. We have the ability to combine those areas to make them larger or hold birthdays, but right now the way we're slotted, birthday parties will be typically on the weekends. We could have 43 birthday parties a week, so lots of opportunities for families to not have to take their kids to Raleigh to have a birthday party. We will sell our merchandise. We love our brand. We love our logo. We hope that we get to see it all around town, and we will sell candy as well. And that will tie right into the birthday parties. And then we'll also have a really comfortable area to sit down with sofas. That way we can give people a chance to relax and just kind of take it off. That area will overlook the arcade, so if parents want to hang out while the kids are playing games, we're going to create an environment where that can happen. And lastly, our goal as we develop this long-standing relationship with the community and strive for repeat businesses, we're going to have monthly events. So we'll have monthly tournaments that we promote. We'll have leagues that we're going to promote to different businesses around the area, different churches around the area. We'll have the ability to have private parties, holiday parties, discount days. We know that, you know, trying to get that business on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday is a little tougher on the weekends, so we're going to do things to incentivize people to come downtown during the week. And then also, too, we're going to adjust our hours during the summer. That way, kids that are out of school have a place to come and hang out. So our planned hours of operation right now, Monday and Tuesday, we're looking at being closed. I think it's important for us to give our team time off to reset. And it's going to be important for us as we got to do inventory, make sure the place is clean. We're not going to be the upscale place that we want to be by being open 7 days a week. Wednesday, Thursday, 3 p.m. to 10 p.m. Friday, we're open a little bit later, close a little later till midnight. Saturday, we'll be open early to cater to those early morning birthday parties for people like myself trying to get those done. And then Sunday, open early. We'll actually be closed at 10 p.m. at a typo on that slide. So a little bit about duck pin bowling. If you've never heard it or if you never have done it, it is one of the funnest things that is happening right now. So if you take bowling, you cut the lane in half, you don't have to wear bowling shoes. All the balls are the same size. There's no holes. This is a very popular, behind pickleball, it's the second fastest growing activity in the U.S., which is why we're jumping on this now, because we know that it's just a matter of time before they start popping up. You can fit 6 people per lane, so it's the ultimate event if you want to do it with a couple of friends or if you want to do it with your family. You can bowl about 6 games per hour, so if you have 6 people, everybody will get a game in about an hour. If you have 3 people, you probably get 2 games in. So the technology that we're using through Brunswick, who's the manufacturer of the bowling lanes, is very interactive. So if you download the app and while you're playing, they have an Angry Birds game. They have different games, so that way the experience changes every time you do it. They have leaderboards, so if you want to track your score, track your progress of how you're doing, you can also do that as well. So you get 3 balls per chance. I don't know if you've ever seen it. I'll show you a slide on the next page, but the pins are smaller, a little squattier. I'm telling you, it's fun. I've done this with my 3-year-old who did it and had fun. I did it with my 6-year-old who did it and almost beat me and had fun. But it's quick. It can be challenging if you want it to be. It can be fun if you want it to be. I actually believe I read there's never been a perfect game bowled in duck pin bowling. In that area where the bowling lanes are, we'll have sofas for relaxation. That way, you know, if you have somebody that doesn't want to bowl but they want to be a part of the group, they can sit and hang out while everybody else does that. And we'll give customers the ability to reserve the lanes in advance. That way, if they really want to do it, but every time they come, it's just always booked and they have to wait an hour, we'll give them a chance to carve their time in. And like I said, we're going to constantly be finding ways to innovate the lanes. That way we draw more people in from different communities. It's kind of a hard picture to see, but I think I made it a little dark. But behind that picture is kind of what you kind of expect from this. There'll be 7 lanes that are all stacked together with couches separating each lane. A little bit about the arcade, because we're excited about this too, because it's going to take up a good part of the space. Like I said, token and tickets free. That way you don't have to worry about keeping up with tickets. You don't have to worry about bringing cash in to get tokens. We understand we want to make it as easy for the customer whenever they come in. The good thing is you'll get a tap-it card. That card's reloadable if you want to keep it. You can take it home, work on earning tickets to come back and cash in the games that you want. So we'll have over 30 different games. The one great thing about our arcade is we're working with a local vendor. So all of the maintenance, I don't know if you guys have ever been to arcade and games are down, it's kind of a letdown. We have a dedicated maintenance team for our games, and we also pull analytics monthly. So if a game starts to drop off in popularity, we can switch it out with something that's popular. I'll tell you, I'm a big fan of arcades myself, but the one thing that I can't stand is going and sliding my card for $2 or $3 game that lasts 20 seconds. So good thing is I get to control prices on the games, even though I don't own the arcades. So we'll make the prices extremely competitive. And like I said, do things like, you know, Throwback Thursday where prices drop to what they were back in the 90s for arcade games. And like I said, tickets can be traded. We'll have a full redemption counter where tickets can be traded for prizes and different merchandise that we offer. And also, too, we're going to have free games. So if people want to come in but they don't feel like either spending money or doing anything, create an environment where they can come in and play different games and just hang out. And that is the summary of Tap It. Gladly answer any questions.
Any questions from the board?
And I can answer that question you had about So to give you an idea, yes, the building as its current state is not zoned for ADA. It's not ADA compliant. It does have 2 split levels. So one of the investments we are making is making the bathrooms, completely overhauling the bathrooms to make them compliant and putting in ramps to the bowling area and ramps to the upper area. So we'll take some demos. A lot of the major walls we're taking up are not structural walls. So we're not taking down any structural walls. They're just faux walls that we're expanding to make the area big enough.
Anyone else? Okay. We might get back to you. Anyone? Ms. Harmon? You were the only one sworn in.
Well, congratulations. This is awesome. I heard about this a couple of weeks ago, and I got very excited just because of the bowling aspect of it. I love to bowl. I think it's a wonderful idea. It's something that the town desperately needs, some entertainment for kids besides just Park and Rec, even though we have the best Park and Rec in the county, in the state of North Carolina. Oh, is Jeff here?
Yeah, he's right there.
Oh, yes. Besides having the best Park and Rec in the area, he's offering 1,000 times more than I even expected. It is off the chart awesome. I mean, y'all put a lot of, do you own any more of these already that I could go look at?
We will.
So this is going to be the first in Wendell, North Carolina. How awesome. Well, congratulations. I hope the board passes this. It is an amazing, amazing idea.
Thank you so much.
All right. Commissioners, anything else from the board? Sure. All right. Close the hearing. And Michelle's pleasure.
Madam Mayor, I move we grant the special use permit.
Can you adapt that to add the condition that all applicable building permits and laws and codes are obtained
Yes, ma'am.
and maintained? Is that right? Okay, so we have a motion to grant the special use permit, and with the addition of that one condition. I don't think I need to state it again. Is there any discussion on the motion? All right, all in favor, raise your hands.
Aye.
Yeah, y'all are being smarty-pantsy now. Okay, no one's opposed. All right, thank you very much. All right, item 5B is a request to rezone approximately .22 acres located at 450 East 3rd Street from residential 2 to neighborhood center. Janine Nguira.
Yes.
Did I
Good
get it
evening,
right?
Mayor
Okay.
and board members.
Good evening.
So, yes, the applicant, Jimmy Sharhan of Mr. G's, is requesting to rezone a .22 acre portion of his property at the intersection of East 3rd Street and South Selma Road from residential 2 to neighborhood center. He purchased a portion of the property to the south in order to expand his business, and then he recombined the two properties. Currently, the parcel has 2 zoning designations, NC on the original parcel and R2 on the newly added portion. And he will need to rezone the R2 to NC if he's going to operate his business on that portion of the property. Excuse me. Mr. G's is an existing business that includes a gas station and convenience store. He usually does have a food truck parked at the property, and since there is a constant influx of activity, this business could be considered a neighborhood hub. During peak hours, it can be difficult for patrons to find parking, but with the additional land, he will be able to provide more parking for his customers. Also, a permit has been issued and is in the process of adding an electric meter and electricity for the food truck. The subject property is located in the neighborhood center and the R2 zoning district. The surrounding properties are zoned NC, R2, and R3, and all of the abutting properties are single-family residential. The commercial uses permitted in the NC zoning district include auto parts sales, banks, funeral homes, laundry services, medical services, personal and professional services, restaurants, general retail of 10,000 square feet or less, drive-through service, neighborhood manufacturing, and indoor meeting facilities. Mr. G's Market, which has been in that location for many years, is considered general retail. This use is permitted in the NC zoning district with the following additional standards. 1, canopies and awnings have to be a minimum of 20 feet from any residentially zoned property. 2, outdoor lighting shall be per the specifications of Chapter 11. No outdoor public address system shall be permitted which can be heard beyond the boundaries of the property, and drive-through windows and services shall be located and accessed only at the site or the side or rear of the building. And Mr. G's does comply with all of the applicable additional standards. Also, the gas station part of the business has been in that location since before the UDO was adopted in 2007. So even though it's not a permitted use in the NC zoning district currently, it was grandfathered in when the UDO was adopted. A type B buffer is required where the new property butts any single-family residence, and the applicant has already added a fence and landscaping buffer along the perimeter of the new portion of the property. As he has stated, he wanted to show commitment to the site and comply with the UDO. The Blueprint Wendell 2030 classifies this area as downtown core. Commercial uses such as retail are appropriate in the downtown core. The statement of plan consistency and reasonableness. This rezoning, if approved, is consistent with the downtown core place type in Blueprint Wendell 2030, since retail is listed as an appropriate use and could be considered reasonable as it assists with the plan goal. Economic development E3, diversify the local economy and increase employment opportunities in Wendell. The applicant held a neighborhood meeting on June 5th, 2023. Meeting notes were attached in your packet. And since the proposed rezoning is consistent with the Wendell Comprehensive Plan, Blueprint 2030, it could be considered reasonable, and since it fulfills the goals of the comprehensive plan, staff recommends approval. And that is the planning board action. And I can answer any questions, and the applicant is here if you have any questions for him.
Okay, let's open the public hearing. Are there any questions from the board?
One question.
Yeah.
Janine, I just noticed on, nowhere in the applicant's packet did he indicate this, but one of the letters indicated that it was just kind of good luck with this tire shop. I did not know if that was just misunderstanding between that person and the business owner, or if that was planned at all for this area.
I'm sorry, a tire shop?
It's in the letter, I guess, from one of the nearby neighbors during the community meeting.
Well, he has not expressed that, and I don't believe that that's something that would be permitted in the NC zoning district, so it hasn't been presented to us.
Anything else from the board? Okay, would the applicant like to be heard? Give us your name and address.
Good evening. Well, it was just muddy there and water staying there for the whole year and people throwing trash and everything. So I went ahead, Mr. Cole sold me that space just to extend my parking, so I have to cut the trees, and I've done a lot of work. It wasn't like this completely. So it been almost a year now doing the work and everything. So now I have more parking lot for the people, easy to get in and get out. I mean, the gas company, they used to park in the road, and when they back up all the way to the road, and it's kind of hard to get in and get out now. They can go back up to the back door and load their, the big trucks. We have more space. I have a taco trucks over there. They serving food for the workers, and we don't have no problem now. I have the parking. I get it right. I plant the bushes, and I clean it. I can see everything. So it's much better than it was. So.
Are there any questions from the board for the applicant?
Is your plan to leave it as it is now?
I'm thinking for now, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, for now, yes.
Because there's indication from the neighbor about a tire shop, so that's why I was
Well,
asking. And then I know it's not a permitted use, so.
I was thinking it's going to be a bigger space, but the way I look at it now, I think it's not going to be enough for anything else. So I think I will leave it as is now for
Okay.
this time, yes.
But if you decided to change it, that's not permitted.
I
for
don't think it's
tires.
going to be, I don't think there's going to be enough space to do the
Okay,
tire shop, so,
Just as long as you understand that.
yeah, I got it.
Anything from anyone else on the board? You have a question? He did. You did not give me your name and address.
I'm-
just for the record.
To leave it later, or you want me to
Just
do it?
say it.
Oh,
Just say
I'm Jimmy Salmon, 450 East 3rd Street, Wendell, 27591. I live in Applewhite, 6233 Applewhite Road, Wendell. So my family, Frank, run the store for 20 years, and he passed it to me. He getting old, so I'm running it now for 9 years. So I think I've done a lot what everybody else done there. The store been there for maybe 80, 90 years. Everybody knows the store. So it wasn't completely the way it was, but when I come, Jason, he knows, everybody knows in town. The store, I turn it from an old store. I try to do much, and I clean everything, so it looks much better. So I done a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, is there anyone from the citizen, anyone that's here with us tonight that would like to speak for or against? Okay, come up here, give me your name and address, please.
My name is Carl Miller. I've got a cold, so excuse me.
That's quite all right.
And I live at 24 South Selma Road. And Mr. Jimmy acquired this land from me, and he has been a really good neighbor. He has cleaned up the property. We had a lot of trees that were leaning toward our house, and we had a lot of problems with that. And Jimmy's been a really good neighbor. And like I said, he's put the fence up. He's planted the trees. The taco truck is there. It's not a problem. I know some people might think there's noise, but I see no more noise than when before. And so I'm just here to recommend that this be done. I think it's good for the community.
All right.
I moved here in 2015, and I love Wendell, and I think Mr. Jimmy's a good neighbor. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. We're happy to have you. Yes, sir, you can come back.
About the generator that taco truck have, I went ahead and get a permit. I'm getting the power from cross street, and I have the meter there, but they gonna work on it. They came last week and inspect it. Is they fine? They already put a stick. They're gonna come and put the post that way connected to the meter. So And that, I'm gonna get it taken care of. So I know there is a noise, it bothers some people, but I don't like it myself, but I'm working on it to get it right.
She said you were getting power.
Yeah, yes,
Okay.
yes.
Thank you. Anyone else would like to speak? Yes, sir, come on up. That's okay. Give me your name and address, please.
Yes. My name is Larry Lyles, and I live at 402 East 3rd Street here in Wendell, and I'm a lifelong resident of the town. My sister and I are the owners of two properties directly across from Mr. G's on the north side of 3rd Street, 453 and 445 East 3rd, which are where our grandparents' home. We also own two properties beside Mr. G's on the southern side of 3rd Street, 438 East 3rd, which was our parents' home place and where we grew up, and 442 East 3rd, directly beside the store. The store building is located 1.5 feet from our property. Anything that happens at the store has an effect on us. Both sides of East 3rd in this area are zoned NC Neighborhood Center, and we own homes at the other end of this district where we live. She beside the old rescue squad, now the police substation, on the north side of 3rd, and I live on the south side where Walnut Street ends the district, owning at both ends of NC Neighborhood Center zoning. And we already have a diverse neighborhood of both renters and homeowners, employed and retired, young and old, new arrivals, and long-term residents. I'm speaking tonight on behalf of myself and my sister only, not for my neighbors. Some may be unaware of this request for rezoning and how it will affect them, but it will have an effect on them in the neighborhood. Fact is, already has. Events have occurred before this meeting, such as traffic congestion on an already busy street, excessive noise from sunrise to sunset from the taco truck, disruption of water runoff to the stream basin that has flooded their property and mine and will continue on, and continued trash, though they've gotten better about getting it up. Had the process outlined in the town ordinances been followed, I imagine we might even be supportive of rezoning. But Mr. Samin began cutting down trees and moving soil without consulting the planners or before asking for our permission before dropping trees all over our property. He cut trees, leaving stumps and covering up with clay and topsoil, not a secure base for any future structure. Raising the watershed area 1.5 feet roughly at his parking lot and 2 feet at our property, in places so that you can't even drain into the stream that went instead onto our property and onto another neighbor. Prior to rezoning requests, gas tank fuel vent pipes that are grandfathered in have been moved to R2 property. And also the food truck and generator generates 70 decibels at least, and such that even 180 feet away on our parents' property, you can't have a conversation without shouting. It's been a chaotic and noisy 11 months. Our cedars in a ditch to the stream were destroyed that buffered the dumpsters and carried water to the stream. All the buffering on the property we've provided over the years. The community meeting described Mr. Samin to the planning board as inaccurate. No issues mentioned and problems we brought up were not resolved. No drawings or even what zoning was being requested were told to us. Promises were made, not yet kept. He promised a fence would be continued to the rear of his building behind the dumpsters, and that the service pole would provide future power needs for all food trucks in 30 days. That was over 3 months ago. All along, assurances made, not followed, promises made to us, but not kept. We tried to accommodate. We're neighbors. The planning board and now the town board were not accurately informed about what really occurred at the community meeting, so you can make a decision without having that information. It was not, as stated, a really good meeting. As I understand the process, while you may make your decision tonight, there was not a request for an expedited decision requested by Minister Samin when he submitted his application.
You're
I
about out of-
suppose my time is up,
It is. Your time's
and
up.
I appreciate the opportunity. I do hope that whatever your decision tonight, that Mr. Samin will once again become good neighbors. Thank you.
Anyone
And I'll
else?
answer any question you have.
Do you have?
One for
Yeah.
So you said the fence behind, can you explain the fence behind? So there's the fence going, if I'm facing Mr. G's property off of 231, there's the fence going down the left-hand side. It continues down. I haven't ridden back there to see. I'm assuming you want it to continue further.
Well, it ends up, there's the property that was purchased. It's a small sliver of land, roughly 70 feet at its widest, not really large enough for a building. I used to be on the planning board with buffers and setbacks, not really a large space. The way I can describe it is the fence starts at 231, goes to the back of the lot. If you look at the drawing, it's in your package. Then it comes up where it touches our property. And then it continues back over where our joint property is. There's a post there where he stopped, where there's a drainage ditch. He stopped the fence there. And within the fence, there's landscaping. Not really the intention of the buffering ordinance. The inside of the parking lot is buffered, but the fence itself is not buffered from Mr. Miller or from our property. So it's all on the inside of the fence. And he promised that he would continue the fence up to his building at the back of the parking lot behind the dumpsters. We've had difficulty with people coming over, theft, and it's trash as well. And it's a good buffer. That's why we had a line of cedars there, so we didn't have to see the parking lot. And it cuts down on trash coming on us. And I asked, and he agreed to continue the fence along.
How much fencing are you talking about there? I'm still having a hard time, like,
I would say maybe 80 feet.
8 feet?
80.
80 feet?
80 feet. And as such, there can be a gate in it. Our properties are so close together, we provide all the buffering, everything. Anybody go around the side of the store, it's our bushes that shield them from our renters seeing them. So to be able to have access to the mechanicals for his building, refrigeration, air conditioning, he has to get back there. In a sense, go on our property to get to it. If there's a fence that goes up to the building with a gate, he can still get outside, service his refrigeration, air conditioner units, but we have more of a buffer from the parking lot. And that's what I realize that's not within this process that you're involved in. I get that. It's, in a sense, lines on paper and adjoining properties are similarly zoned. But no matter what, we've had issues and have dealt with them for years, and this seems like a good time, in exchange for him dropping all the trees on our property and storing the logs because there wasn't room in his parking lot to store the logs, that he agreed that he would build the fence and try to divert the land, the water. It goes down to a stream basin, and the way I understand it, it's such a small lot that planning doesn't really get involved in it. But that stream runs all the way down to the Public Works, all the way down to what used to be Lake Glad. And all other properties that have been developed stay off of the basin, which is supposed to be, the way I understand it, 50 feet. The lot's 70. And our lot's been flooded. And it's been a problem. It's been 11 months of chaos to get to this point.
Appreciate it.
Anything else? Okay,
Thank you.
thank you so much.
Well, let's hear from the applicant again, if you'd like to address some of these concerns.
Okay. When I get the property from Mr. Miller, I go ahead and cut the trees and make it looks good and everything. So he came up with some idea, if you put a fence between us, because there was people just running, not going back behind his property and go to the back houses over there. They was cutting from that property we clean, even when there was the trees and everything, they was cutting from over there and go to the other side. So Mr. Miller, he says, he come up with an idea, Jimmy, what do you think if we go ahead and put a fence between us, and I will help you, 50-50. So that's what he did. So I come up and did the fence, and the fence cost me almost $12,000, you know, and he helped me some half. So what I did, I came and I just don't do between me and Mr. Miller. I did the whole thing from this side and all the way to the back to help the other neighbor in the back. And also I did it between the new property that I buy and their property. I cut all the way. So he come up and look at it this way, and he say, you know what, when are you gonna do the whole thing? That's another 200 feet, maybe more, and that's another 10,000, maybe something, I don't know. If they're gonna come up, I don't need no fence, I'm happy the way it is now. I clean my trash, I don't have no trash there. So if he wanna spend some money, I'm willing to do it. If nobody wanna help him, because every time they seen equipment, it's costs money these days, it's nothing cheap. Especially when you talk about 200 feet, maybe more fence, all the way he wanna get it from the back of the store all the way to the new property. It's not 80 feet, it's 200 feet maybe. But it's money. If somebody wanted to do it, if I was me, if it's my property and I'm bothered from somebody, I will go ahead and put my own fence. But if he willing to help me, I will get a fence and put it up. But nobody wants to spend $1, so I think I've done what I can to make it better than it was. And I buy, there was a water coming from my property, and I keep it still on my property. I go ahead and get a big pipe and run it from my property all the way to the ditch, Mr. Miller, and he's seen it. If you go and look, or you get the picture back, you will see how nice it is. You don't see no water, no flood, no nothing. The parking is clean. You can go and park, no problems. I packed it, I mean, more than 3-4 times. I put some dirt, crash and run, packed it, and again. I think it looks, what I've seen it looks good, but if, like I say, if they want to go ahead and do a fence, I don't have no problem. Let's go ahead and help me. We get a company to come and give us a quote, 50-50. If not, I don't need it myself. I'm good. Enough I spent to fix what I did just for parking lot. So.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I do have a question for somebody about the grade. Him raising the grade of the lot up. Yeah. Is that causing water to run off? Is that creating an issue with neighbors? Because
So
that's
the-
getting into a lot of, that's more than dumping out some gravel.
So his overall site work is way less than a half acre, so stormwater and erosion control regulations do not apply.
Weren't triggered.
However, we can have Wake County go do a site visit based on the neighbors' concerns tonight to see if there's any kind of violation or any kind of thing that should be done differently. But the applicant, based on the size of the property and the renovation, was not required to have stormwater or erosion control plans, but we can have Wake County investigate.
I just don't want a problem with a neighbor, you know. I don't know. What do y'all?
Madam Mayor, the reason I asked the questions I did, Brian, the buffer is appropriate as to what the UDO would require?
Yeah, the UDO does not require which side the fence has to be on. It's not clear. And so some buffers, the fence is on the exterior, some have it on the interior. But there's different options for that fence with the buffer.
Thank you.
Living part of it, he put on the inside
He did.
for aesthetics, probably for, why it doesn't matter. Okay.
Madam Mayor, is the public hearing still open?
Well, yes, it is still open. Is there anyone else that would, oh, Lordy, y'all have already spoken. I'm not really supposed to, but, okay, come on.
With the aspect of the water, when I bought the property, these trees were full of brush, the ditches were full, water would run all over my yard. And since Mr. G acquired the property and the trees have been taken down, the ditches have been opened up, and he put a drain underground from over there, from their property. He came all the way under, and then he went across the back of the property, and the water drains better than it's ever drained before, because I've been watching it. And I tell you what, if I would have been Mr. Jimmy, I would not have put a ditch across the back, because I didn't think that was necessary. But I think Mr. Jimmy has gone the extra mile to try to make sure that the water and the ditches are running good. And so I think it's been a bit of a good improvement. So thank you for hearing me the second time.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Lyles, I saw you waving at me. Come up here, please.
Well, I'm not saying that the ditch beside Mr. Miller hasn't been improved. I'm saying that before we got to the point that it was improved, it's flooded our property. And it's the only reason that there's a ditch to connect to that pipe is because we've put it there. For years, we've provided a buffer of trees and border control of the parking lot. And all we've asked is not that he replace the cedars that were knocked down. I'll take care of that. I'll smooth out my property from the ruts caused by the trucks. I'll take care of that. In exchange for allowing him, and I guess in a sense, trying to work with him so that he could proceed, he agreed to continue the fence to the building. I didn't ask for a fence at Mr. Miller's property. I didn't ask for a fence anywhere except, and he agreed to put a fence at both the south and east of our property line. Right, like I said, right now, we're the buffer, have been for years. We're trash control, have been for years.
On his fence, so instead of doing the whole back of it, you're talking about just putting the fence up to the back of his building now, not, so he doesn't have to do 200 feet, just another 20 feet here to finish that one,
Well,
and the other side? Is that what you're talking about?
I can show you if this is our property. He built a fence here. This is his lot here that he purchased, Mr. Miller. This is the back of our property where we once adjoined to stand of longleaf pines. And then there's a fence, a parking lot that would run behind the dumpsters to his building. And right now, that's us. We're the buffer. We're been storm control for the roof, parking lot, everything.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, I was going to make, with the understanding that Mr. Coates gave us, I was going to get out of the public hearing and then suggest that while it sounds like, well, one, it sounds like we have multiple willing parties that want to work together, and maybe they're just not quite there yet. It also sounds like this fence is outside the scope of this rezoning.
Well, that's what I was getting ready to say, that the agreement that the two of you had when you were discussing that is a civil matter for y'all to work out.
That's not
Yeah,
included in your rezoning.
it's not, and
I would have hoped that he would have made good on his promises about the power for the food truck, the noise,
It sounds like that is in process. It said it was inspected earlier this week and it'll be pulled across
Well,
the 15th. And that was the only reason I was interested in fixing the fence problem, because I thought we might be batting 1,000 since I'd heard that the other problem was.
well, I think, you know, when he started cutting down trees, he agreed to do that. I was faced that day with, what do I do that day? Do I call the police, the planning board, a lawyer? What do you do? And so you try to accommodate, so he could move forward with what he hoped to do, and that we didn't have to, we could get the trees off of our property. It was like a logging camp.
I understand all that, but and I know you
And
understand.
I know this isn't your part
But
of your.
all that is beyond, way outside of our purview, and so if the buffer is what the UDO requires, then we check that off. If that's why I asked about the water, honestly, because that kind of got my attention about a runoff problem. But I think hopefully that's been resolved as well. And any other issues that y'all have between the two of you, you have to work out somewhere else, but it wouldn't be worked out in here. And I'm sure there's a regret for the delay of the electrical, so, but he has to do that, so. We can hold him to that, because that's part of our thing. All right, any other questions or comments from the board or anyone else? All right, let's close the public hearing. And how do y'all want to proceed?
Madam Mayor, I move we grant the proposed rezoning request and move we adopt the attached ordinance.
All right, we have a motion to grant the proposed rezoning request and adopt the ordinance. Is there any discussion on the motion? All right, all in favor, raise your hands. Anyone? No one's opposed. Okay, thank you very much. Item 5C is a request to rezone approximately .33 acres located at 208 Wendell Falls Parkway from residential 3 to downtown mixed-use conditional district to allow professional services and personal services.
Yes.
I think we're again.
Yes, hello again. Yes, the applicant is rezoning his
Can we shut the door?
.33 acre
Just
parcel.
arguing out there. Okay, hold on just a minute. Proceed.
Okay.
Thank you for your patience.
He's rezoning his .33 acre parcel located at 208 Wendell Falls Parkway from R3 to downtown mixed use conditional district, which is near the intersection of Wendell Falls Parkway and Cook Street. He's planning to operate his real estate business in the house on the property. The parcels to the north, south, and west are currently zoned residential 3 with single-family residences. Parcels to the east are zoned DMX and manufacturing and industrial. And the large property with the DMX is where Whitney's Chocolate is and the Wendell Medical Center. The M&I has some warehouses and auto repair shop. The applicant has proposed the following zoning conditions. A 20-foot type B buffer is required along the side and rear property lines, and the full width will be utilized in places, as will a reduced 15-foot buffer with a 6-foot privacy fence as allowed in the town of Wendell UDO. A reduced buffer will be allowed around the existing shed on side and abutting the properties identified as pins 1788, 450, 3433, and 178, 450, 4556. A 3.7-foot buffer encroachment at the front corner of the house to allow a gate to be installed on the privacy fence, and a 3.2-foot buffer encroachment next to the parking area to allow for a handicap ramp will be allowed. The uses will be restricted to professional services and personal services. since this parcel abuts single-family residential properties, a type B buffer is required along the side and rear property lines, which is a minimum width of 20 feet, one tree every 25 feet, one shrub every 6 feet, and a privacy fence can be used to reduce the buffer requirement by 25%. The applicant is installing the 6-foot privacy fence and a 15-foot type B buffer. There is an existing shed at the rear of the property, and condition 2 allows for a reduced buffer width around the shed. And condition 3 allows encroachments into the buffer for the gate and the parking space that needs to be shifted over to accommodate the handicap ramp. This is the site plan. You can see his parking is there, and there's a turnaround so that you don't have to back out onto Wendell Falls Parkway. He has dedicated right-of-way there, and you can see the buffer around the property. According to the arterial and collector street plan, Wendell Falls Parkway in this area will be upgraded to a 67-foot right-of-way, and right now it is 50 feet, and therefore the applicant is dedicating 8.5 feet of right-of-way. There is an existing sidewalk along Wendell Falls Parkway, and since the applicant is not building outside of the footprint of the existing structure, no other road improvements are required. And as I said, there's a turnaround shown on the site plan for cars to turn around instead of backing out onto Wendell Falls Parkway. Blueprint Wendell 2030 classifies this area as downtown core, and the proposed rezoning meets the characteristics outlined in the description of the DTN place type, as it lists small to medium offices in the recommended commercial uses. The proposed conditional district rezoning is consistent with the downtown core place type due to the characteristics stated in Blueprint Wendell, as it lists small to medium offices in the recommended commercial uses. The plan is consistent with Blueprint Wendell 2030 and can be considered reasonable as it assists with the plan goal, downtown goal D2.3, participate in efforts to redevelop sites and reuse existing buildings. A neighborhood meeting was held virtually on June 28, 2023, and the proposed development plan is consistent with the Wendell Comprehensive Plan and is considered reasonable since it fulfills one of the goals of the comprehensive plan noted above. Therefore, staff recommends approval of the rezoning. And there's the planning board action. And I can answer any questions if you have them, and the applicant is also here to answer any questions.
Okay, we'll open the public hearing. Are there any questions from the board?
Quick question.
Yep.
If you'll go back to the map, it's, I guess 17 feet right away is what we need, and this provides the 8.5. That's not impacted, so we got space from the sidewalk to the concrete turnaround pad, so we're good there.
Are you asking if the sidewalk is in where they are dedicating the right-of-way?
Yeah, we've got, it's 8.5 feet, right? That's
Yes.
needed?
Yes, 8.5 feet.
Okay.
You can see where it has like the new right-of-way line up top. The dashed line is the old right-of-way, the solid line is the new right-of-way line.
Okay, so the pad goes
It's right.
up to the right-of-way?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions from the board? Okay, does the applicant want to be heard?
No, Madam Mayor, unless there are
Come up here.
Madam Mayor,
Good
Commissioners.
evening.
Mike Williams, 27 Sawyer Court in Wendell. Unless there's questions, I'd rather not talk more.
Perfectly
about-
fine. Does anybody have questions for the applicant?
I just have one. Will this be just
We'll make you talk.
primarily an office setting? Or
It's just an office.
Okay, because
for
no
my wife, yes.
living office
No,
combination?
it's
Okay,
just an
okay.
office space for my wife to operate her, the real estate business.
Okay.
Instead of versus working at home, which is where I work. So,
For the record, right?
don't even, no, yes, for the record.
Any other questions from the board for the applicant? Okay, thank you. Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak for or against this project? Okay, none. No questions from the board. We'll close the public hearing. What's y'all's pleasure?
Madam Mayor, I move we grant the rezoning request at 208 Wendell Falls Parkway from R3 to DMX conditional district
And adopt the attached ordinance?
and adopt the attached ordinance.
We have a motion to adopt the rezoning request, 208 Wendell Falls Parkway from R3 to downtown mixed use, and adopt the attached ordinance. Is there any discussion on the motion? All right, all in favor, raise your hands. Thank you. No one opposed. All right, we'll move into our administrative items. Item 6A is a decision to approve a general contractor and authorize the town manager to negotiate and sign a contract for the request for proposal of construction services for the Hollybrook Park.
Is that it?
Mr. Pulaski.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and Commissioners. Excuse me. All right. Let's see, we are 6A. Wrong way? Hey. All right. McGill Associates issued RFP for construction services for the Hollybrook Park and requested responses by 2 p.m. on August the 3rd. The town received five responses to the RFP by the deadline. McGill Associates handled the documents, submittal, and reviewing of the submissions and ranked the responses based on lump sum base bid. TCC Enterprises was the lowest reasonable bidder at $2,898,000, and an alternate bid, which would be sod around the new existing playground. Some concerns about planting grass seed around the playground as kids are trying to run around it. So that was included as an alternate bid for an additional $22,000. An additional 10% will be included for the project contingency in the amount of $292,000. That would bring an estimated construction cost of $3,212,000. Upon approval, staff will negotiate construction services and execute the contract, and the initial construction schedule will be provided at the time. The fiscal year 24 budget provides funding for from loan proceeds, the PARTIF grant, fee and lieu payments, and appropriated $5,123,836 for the construction in fiscal year 2024. As such, the recommended bid award is significantly below the budgeted appropriation by a little less than $2 million. Also in your packet was the award recommendation letter and bid results from the contractor design engineer, McGill. Town attorney has reviewed the bid process. Staff recommends awarding the bid to TCC Enterprises in the amount of $2,920,000 with a 10% contingency, construction contingency, making the total $292,000.
Any questions for Mr. Pulaski?
Jeff, when do you plan on having the grand opening of the park?
I have no comment at this time.
Is there an estimated length of time it's going to take?
I think once we can get a contract signed, we can start looking at more of getting details on a schedule, but at this time, I wouldn't be able to guess that.
Any other questions from the board? You know, we like everything yesterday. All right, y'all, what's your pleasure?
Still looking at the sheet. Madam Mayor, I move we grant the recommendation to TCC Enterprises and authorize the town manager to sign same. Sounds close.
We have a motion to award the bid to TCC Enterprises. Well, I've got more details. For $2.9 $2,920,000 with a 10% construction contingency, and authorize the town manager to negotiate and sign the contract. Is that good? Is there any
Sounds
discussion on the motion? All right, all in favor, raise your hands. Okay, thank y'all.
Thank you.
Item 6B is a request for the addition of a planning technician to the fiscal year 2024 budget effective October 1, 2023. Mr. Collins.
Thank you. All right. So I'm here on behalf of the planning department tonight as your budget officer. Pretty early in a budget year. You know, when a department starts putting together their budgets, it's in January of '23. And we're not sure how things are going to trend, what the market's going to do in a construction industry. Will higher rates slow down our permits? How do the first couple months look going into the new fiscal year? And I told our planning director and planning staff that if things kept trending the way they were late last winter through the spring, when we got into summer, I'd be before you. And so I am. We're requesting a mid-year or an in-year position for a planning technician position for the planning department, effective October 1st. So it would be for an 8-month period of this fiscal year. Planning technicians issue development permits. They assist with minor building permits reviews that are received, conduct zoning reviews, site inspections, provide a lot of customer service. This is about maintaining a customer service level so it doesn't slip. It's something that we take pride in providing this level of service for our community, for our residents and people, our future residents. Currently, we have one full-time staff member dedicated to permit issuance and one for site inspections. When those people go on vacation or they're out sick or have something else going on in their life, planning staff has to break off from their job assignments and cover those duties. You'll have seen some RFPs going out, requests for proposals and requests for qualifications. We have a few other projects like Pleasant Grove that are kicking off right now that I can't have that much planning capacity going into permitting activities. I need the appropriate staff doing appropriate levels of work in that space. You can see from the numbers there, the numbers are higher than Wendell has seen in the past. There's a 40% increase previous year to last year. That number's not going down right now. That's a sustainable number that's likely to increase moving forward based on the number of entitled lots. We have not seen any kind of slowdown in permitting and building activity in Wendell. We do not anticipate seeing that. So this position will provide that backfill staff in the site inspection and permit areas, and free up some planning staff to do actual planning work moving into this coming spring. That being said, Brian Coates is at home issuing permits over the weekend. That's his video game. He's delegating out permits to all of his staff. It's true. You know, his staff are still working well and beyond what they would typically be doing to keep up with this. It's not sustainable right now. You know, when Garrett and I budgeted the monies, we were fiscally conservative, as we always are with our revenue projections. Right now, the revenues coming in are sufficient to cover that 8-month for the remainder. So it's not pulling from our reserve fund or anything else. The revenues from this area of work will cover this expense. So with that, I'm recommending that the board approve the addition of a planning technician position for the planning department to be effective on or after October 1st.
Any questions?
2023, not 2024.
Any questions from the board?
Just to comment,
Comment, okay.
I'm so absolutely in favor of this. I just with, and I appreciate this, the staff's dedication to getting things through and done, and, but I know when they're working hard and long, and then you just, you burn out, and you get somebody who just is done, and then now you're really scrambling, because now you're trying to fill that spot in the deficit. So anything we can do to make that easier, I'm in favor for.
Thank y'all for maintaining that level of customer service. That's one of, and efficiency and timeliness. That's one of the, I've told you before, biggest comments I get is how efficient we are in our planning department and the quick turnaround, and things don't take weeks and weeks and weeks. And we certainly want to maintain that without overburdening everyone. So, anyone else have a comment? Yes, sir.
Do we have any other known in-year positions we're changing?
Not at this point.
Can I ask one additional question that maybe will tag onto that and can be part of your answer? I don't have any issue with the need that's been laid out. That being said, we go through a really rigorous budgeting process. This is not the right way to create new permanent obligations for the town that'll exist forever and create new positions. So I don't love the idea that as part of our budget planning, there's this understanding that there are other things that'll come later on, and you've heard that from me in the past. So I guess my question, to maybe expand on what Commissioner Joyner said, is were there any other similar conversations that you had during budget this year of, well, we can ask for that during the year outside of, like this one?
Only the one I reported out during budget, that the police department requested more positions than I was recommending. And I told them they needed to fill their existing openings before I brought something to the board. That was the only other one I'm aware of. My job is to let you know, regardless of what time of the budget year it is, if we need additional resources to keep the job done, or why we're not going to be able to keep doing the job at the resource level that we're provided. That's my job. So, you know, I appreciate wanting to go through the budget process. My staff will tell you that it's very uncomfortable going through that, and glad to take that under advisement, sir.
All right, anything else?
Madam Mayor, I move we approve the planning technician position for fiscal year '24, effective October 1, 2024.
23. It says 24 on there, but he corrected it and said 23. So
Sure, this year too.
I corrected it on my paper, that's why. Okay, so we have a motion to approve the planning technician position for the fiscal year 2023, well, year 24, effective 23. I think that's, is there any discussion on the motion? All right, all in favor? See, show of hands. Okay, thank you. All right, we'll move into our other business, update on board committees by town board members. Wendell Volunteer Fire Department, Commissioner Joyner.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The fire department is about halfway through a SCBA replacement program, replacement process, which is the air packs that firefighters wear. We're swapping all of those out. We also have 4 new firefighters starting the Wake County Fire Academy October 1st. So we look forward to having those guys online in about 9 months. That's all, Madam Mayor.
Okay, and we'll move into commissioners' comments and stay with you.
Nothing tonight, Madam Mayor.
Okay, Commissioner Lutz.
Yes, ma'am. We hit on this last week a little bit, and I didn't have my comments with it just because I felt like we had kind of talked about it too much. But with Ms. Tamborius here tonight, and then with the Tappet Social House being approved, we have, as a board, have put a lot of priorities in revitalizing our downtown, and I feel like we have done just a fantastic job of doing that with bringing in businesses and new businesses and different stuff. And I read it in the packet from when the Tappet had their community meeting that Mr. Adara had said that parking has been an issue. And I think we're seeing that downtown, and I think a lot of us can realize that when we go to a downtown that sometimes we have to walk a block or walk a block and a half or things like that. And I'm 100% fine with that too, but I do feel like that we are getting into be a situation where parking is getting tougher, and whether it's handicap accessible spots, having plenty of ample parking areas for not just the patrons of the businesses, but the employees of the businesses. And I'm thinking, you know, I could think in my mind, gosh, you know, if you had a birthday party and you had 20-some kids come, that's 20 cars we got to fit downtown, but we've also got to have staff to run it and cleanup crew and people running the arcades and all that stuff too, and that can quickly build to a lot of bodies in our downtown. And I do feel strongly that while we've done things like 2-hour parking downtown to try to enforce some turnover, it's not been a very effective measure at all, whether from enforcement or I think people just don't take it seriously. But I feel like as a board, we need to start to at least have some thoughts in our mind of how we're going to at least create more parking and more spaces for people who come to downtown, people who, so they don't leave. The old saying was the reason people don't stay at churches is because they're not parking. And I think the same thing can be applied to towns as well too. And even my wife, and this is not downtown, but even my wife messaged me tonight. She'd gone to the park to go to my daughter's volleyball game, and she goes, "Man, I had to park all the way at the t-ball fields to go to the gym." And she goes, and it was just, she goes, it's dark. It's a long walk. It's, you know, it's not I don't want to walk. It's just it's dark. It's nighttime and stuff. So I think of the same things with our downtown area too. So I do encourage our board to kind of start having those thoughts, and I do think it's something we would like to kind of bring up more, whether it's in planning or, you know, in our yearly kind of strategic meetings or whatever that may be, because I do think that's something we need to talk more about.
It might be a good topic for our retreat after Christmas.
Put it on the agenda. I'm ready.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you.
Commissioner Eatman?
Nothing else tonight, Mayor.
Commissioner Tornaski?
Mayor, yes, I'd like to make a comment tonight and thank the town manager for bringing to our attention the need of another employee to make it easier on our staff to get their job done right. And thank you very much.
Okay. Commissioner Deloach?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. First couple, I guess, lighthearted items. Thank you for the quiz tonight. We do add value during our town board meetings, so that was fun, informative, and we did find out that our planning director plays video games on the weekend too. So, Wendell Historical Society reverse raffles coming up the 28th. We're actually having a meeting before then, but just want to make everybody aware because tickets will probably be sold out by next meeting. So just want to make you aware of that. They are having a silent auction coming up next Monday. That will be done at the farmhouse. So you can go to their Facebook page, learn more about that. Obviously, the money goes towards supporting the Wendell Museum. So lots of cool things going on there. And finally, a more serious note. I'll try to make it through this part, but recently our oldest daughter, I'm a proud dad, so she's got a job with Wake EMS as a first responder. And so with today being September 11th, a lot more meaning tonight when we did the pledge. So congrats to sweet Hattie D, and best of luck. We love you. So
Congratulations to her. Is that it? Are you done?
I'm done.
Okay.
I'm done. My
Okay.
wife's gonna give me a hard time as
That's okay. I was trying to bail you out a little bit.
Thank you
That's
very
okay.
much.
A couple things real quick. A reminder that Meet on Main is back this Friday night. The band is The Switch. The event starts at 6, the music at 6:30. In addition, there's going to be a food truck rodeo, beer and wine, kids areas, stores open, things like that. So definitely come down and check it out on Main Street, downtown on Wendell. I wanted to comment real quickly about the two public comments we had tonight. I want to make sure that when we're planning things like Meet on Main and the Harvest Festival and Wendell Wonderland and things like that, that we are not blocking handicap parking spaces. So I'm not sure where that falls in the event planning process, but we need to make sure that those spaces stay open. Even if they get replaced at another spot, very often, like the lady that spoke tonight said, that it may place a person where their wheelchair ramp is coming down in a dangerous spot because of the temporary nature of it. And if you aren't using a wheelchair, that might not be something that you would think of if you're just blocking off spaces and moving one to another spot. So I want to make sure that that is integrated into our system when we do that. Mr. Collins, just make sure we do that. and check on that and not have handicapped parking spaces blocked. It may be that Meet on Main needs to let those be handicap in addition to golf cart. So we need to maybe discuss that with them. Also, someone please contact Ms. Harmon and answer her question tonight about the permitting situation. So someone can take care of that also. The last thing I want to tell you about is some good news. I love sharing good news about our schools. And you know, the school education report card just came out. And our local Eastwake High School principal called me on the phone to brag and tell me how excited he was about it. So I'm going to give you some of the highlights. Eastwake High School exceeded growth expectations with an aggressive growth of 5.4. This is not growth in numbers of students. It's growth in testing. It's academic growth. And that put them into the top 10% of schools statewide in North Carolina. So I think that's something we need to know about. Out of the 72 Title I high schools in North Carolina, Eastwake High School had the third highest growth rate in the state. Among the comprehensive Title I high schools in the state, they had the second highest growth rate, and they achieved the 38th place out of 402 high schools in the state for academic growth. That is pretty daggone good. And so I just like to tell good things. Everybody loves to talk about when bad things happen in schools, and I think it's important that we talk about the good things. Overall, they were ranked 177th out of 2,714 schools in the state. So if you've got a high school age kid, you need to go check it out. They just got magnet status. It's a great school. I know a lot of those folks there, and they're doing a lot of really good stuff. So anyhow, all right, I believe we have a closed session coming up. So do we have a motion to go into closed session?
Madam Mayor, I move we go into closed session pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 143, 318, 11A6 personnel.
All right, we have a motion to go in closed session. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Well, I've done.